Let's just jump right into it. We've all seen how incredibly fluent artificial intelligence has become lately, right? I mean, it writes beautifully, it sounds super confident, and it produces language at literally lightning speed. But here is a critical illusion we need to shatter today. Fluency is absolutely not the same thing as intelligence. Today, we're going through this explainer on the source material for EP Function 04, which is known as representation formation. We're going to uncover how the energetic paradigm, or EP, transforms AI from a mere language generator into a highly controlled, auditable, and investable system.
So here's the million-dollar question. Why does AI fail at complex work? You know what I'm talking about. When AI systems break down or hallucinate in high-stakes workflows, like inventing a completely non-existent legal precedent or bungling a massive procurement order, it is very rarely a knowledge problem. The AI usually has access to the right data. The failure happens because raw, unstructured information is not transformed into the correct representation required for actual reasoning. It's trying to solve a giant puzzle without taking the time to sort the pieces first.
Think about ordinary AI for a second. It relies on loose reasoning. It basically stitches together words that simply sound right based on text patterns, kind of just hoping for the best. But enterprise AI operates completely differently. It demands answers derived from strict structure and auditable paths. In an operational environment, an AI has to survive intense scrutiny, and you can only achieve that level of reliability through a highly structured approach.
To really unpack this, we're going to follow a clear architectural path today. We'll look at the structure problem, define the function, dive into enterprise demand, look at operational execution, and wrap up with scalable standards.
Okay, Part 1. The structure problem.
Here's the fundamental issue. AI models generate language before they create the right representation of the problem. Instead of asking what the logic and boundaries of a task actually are, the AI just rushes to produce plausible text. It completely bypasses the essential step of mapping out the work. It's literally like trying to build a massive skyscraper by pouring concrete before you've even drawn up the architectural blueprints. I mean, it might look like a building for a split second, but it's fundamentally unstable.
Moving on to Part 2, defining the function.
Now this is absolutely crucial. Representation formation isn't just some cosmetic add-on to make text sound better. It is a foundational operating capability. It converts unstructured, messy material into explicit structures that actively support deduction, reasoning, and controlled execution. It fundamentally changes how a task is framed before the answer is ever produced and how that work is judged after it appears.
What the system actually does is format information into distinct objects, claims, mechanisms, states, paths, constraints, and consequences. Imagine feeding a chaotic 50-page vendor agreement into an AI. Instead of reading a wall of text, the system generates a clean enterprise dashboard of explicit constraints and mechanisms. By turning a messy document into these specific objects, an AI can actually reason over the material rather than just summarizing words. It completely strips away the ambiguity.
Which brings us to Part 3, enterprise demand.
Look, when you take AI out of a casual chat interface and drop it into deep, high-consequence business verticals, uncontrolled generation is a massive liability. Think about enterprise strategy. Trusting a chatbot with sensitive planning creates severe reputational risk. In legal review, a hallucination isn't just a typo, it's actual actionable liability. In finance, missing a single constraint can lead to a $10 million cost or delay. And in governance, it results in complete operational failure. You simply cannot afford loose reasoning in these environments.
I love this quote because it hits the nail right on the head for the enterprise mindset. An output is valuable only if it can be trusted, audited, corrected, and reused. Buyers in the enterprise space do not need more persuasive text. They desperately need structurally reliable work. They need outputs that can survive intense, rigorous review by decision-makers, lawyers, engineers, and investors. Honestly, if it can't be audited, it's not intelligent. It's just a draft.
Okay, Part 4, operational execution.
So let's walk through how this builds a rigorous operational mechanism. First step, the input is transformed into a clear, explicit object. Next, the reasoning path becomes fully inspectable, so no more critical logic hidden inside big blocks of fluent language. Then, the output is evaluated against that defined structure. And finally, if there is a failure, it's classified to proactively improve the next execution rather than just being manually edited away by some frustrated user.
And the results of executing this way? They're crystal clear. You get better boundaries on the work, way stronger logical deduction, and far fewer contradictions.
It absolutely proves that execution is only reliable when the AI evaluates its output against strict, defined structures, rather than just stylistic fluency. It transforms proposals into genuinely investable assets, and it explicitly exposes the hidden contradictions in things like legal agreements.
Part 5. Scalable Standards. If you're explaining this to investors, true scalability is absolutely the key. You can't just rely on unscalable manual fixes or hire a brilliant consultant every single time an AI gets something wrong. That doesn't work. Real scalable value comes from a repeatable mechanism, an embedded structural architecture that prevents that recurring failure point across the entire enterprise.
So how do you scale it? You productize this function into reusable templates, software modules, strict agent policies, and automated quality gates. Ultimately, it becomes an enterprise AI standard. It's a foundational layer that can be integrated anywhere complex work is happening. It embeds directly into your document intelligence pipelines and agent orchestration workflows, seamlessly.
The beauty of this is that the surface content changes, but the structural control remains exactly the same. Whether we're dealing with legal contract analysis, deep financial modeling, or even complex media production, that exact same blueprint of structural intelligence applies. The domain shifts, for sure, but the demand to prevent structural failure is a constant across the board.
Finally, Part 6. The Investor Takeaway.
EP Function 404 serves as a massive traction engine because it hits the perfect trifecta. It directly solves the undeniable market demand of uncontrolled AI generation. It operates effectively inside real, high-stakes execution environments, and it transitions from just a theoretical fix into a highly scalable software component. It takes a real market bottleneck and connects it directly to an executable, productized logic.
This right here is the major paradigm shift you need to take away. EP Function 04 is not a content tool. It is a system of structural intelligence. We have to stop evaluating AI purely on its ability to generate pretty language and start valuing the infrastructure that makes it operationally safe, deductive, correctable, and reliable for the enterprise. AI generates language, but EP forms the representation that makes true intelligence possible. Without that structural representation, you really just have a very fast, very articulate guessing machine. By formatting the work first, by isolating those claims, those constraints, the paths we talked about earlier, EP is laying the actual track for machine reasoning. So I want to leave you with this one provocative thought. When your enterprise AI fails next, when it hallucinates a term on a contract or entirely misses a critical financial constraint, will you try to fix its language? Or will you finally fix its structure? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep asking the right questions, keep looking for that underlying structure, and I'll catch you next time.